Now, Ask Dr. Love with psychotherapist, author, love and relationship expert Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. For expert advice on love and relationships, call into the show at 888-463-6748. That's 888-GO-FOR-IT. Or you can submit your question online at AskDrLove.com. Now, here's Dr. Love.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I want to welcome you once again to my show. This Valentine's Day show marks our 1-year anniversary together because I launched the Ask Dr. Love radio program last year on Valentine's Day. This week, in honor of Valentine's Day, I'm going to share my 5-step recipe for romance. Whether you're looking for true love or you want to give your love life a shot in the arm and keep it chugging along for the long haul, you've come to the right place. And for this week's columns, as a Valentine's Day present to you, I'm going to give you a virtual box of chocolates with an assortment of tasty questions. The first little chocolate is confused with myself. And here I'm assisting a 20-year-old woman who can't understand why the guys she has one-night stands with find her clingy. Hint, right after she has sex with them, she tells them she loves them and wishes that they'd stay through daybreak. So stay tuned as I help her see the light. And is she genuinely interested in me? I help out a 40-year-old, never married, bald-headed man who is worried that desperation is behind a certain 29-year-old woman's upfront investigation of him as a potential husband. So stick around as I give him the lowdown on her romantic showdown. And in Too Much Sex, I help out a woman who wonders why I'm helping out a guy because he's wondering why his girlfriend, after having one orgasm, can't orgasm again for days. So stand by as I uncover the clandestine cause of her clitoris cave-in. Now that's a mouthful. In What Do? I assist a guy who's got his eye on a young woman who frequents his tennis club, and he wants to know how to get her to notice him and think of him. So stick around as I help him understand why the proper use of his balls, not in the way you're thinking, is key to getting his game in play this Valentine's Day. And then I'm going to do a reading between the sheets segment, and this one's called Crazy Sex Has Got the Best of Me. And here I'm helping out a 40-year-old man who says that he's addicted to the dirtiest and craziest sex imaginable. And he says he wants to put all this kinky sex behind him. So stick around as I lay out a thorough plan to stop his penis from poisoning his life. Oh, and I have another Valentine's treat for you. In the second segment, which is now only 6 minutes, I'm introducing Dr. Love's Quickies. Well, what else can you do in 6 minutes but a quickie? And I've got some sweet treats for you and some sweet tweets, too. So now on to today's topic. But before I talk to you about how to jumpstart your love life this Valentine's Day, first I want you to be clear on what love is. Now, if you're like most of the world, you love chocolate. And busty blondes or bulging muscles, or cute furry animals, your brother or your sister, your mom or your dad, your lover or your spouse. So how can the same word have such different meanings? You know, since the beginning of time, humans have tried to define this crazy little thing called love. Recognizing the complexity of this emotion, the Greeks actually devised 4 different words to define the various forms of love. And these are agape, which is unconditional love, eros, which is passionate love, philia, which is friendship or affectionate love, and storge, which is natural love. That is the love that's felt by parents for their offspring. So today I'm going to talk about eros, or passionate romantic love. And scientists tell us that passionate romantic love is nothing more than a chemical cocktail that combines nerve growth factor, testosterone, estrogen, dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, oxytocin, and vasopressin. Well, I say this chemical cocktail is truly an elixir of the gods because this love potion works divine magic on humanity, literally modifying our characters, making us more flexible, kind, thoughtful, considerate, creative, generous, receptive, and responsive to our loved ones. And it's been said that when you fall passionately in love with another, you are literally intoxicated by the other person's goodness. And it has also been said that love is the attachment that results from deeply appreciating another's goodness. Now, speaking of goodness, we all know that our eyes initially latch onto outer goodness, which, if we like what we see, triggers lust and physical attraction. But here's the rub, if you'll pardon my pun. Passionate romantic love also includes lust and physical attraction. So how's a body supposed to tell the difference between lifelong erotic love and mere physical attraction and lust? Well, when speaking of passionate romantic love, I like to think of a series of hurdles. The first hurdle is time. While simple lust fades in a few weeks to months, true erotic or passionate romantic love lasts. In fact, partners who are deeply in love continue to feel attraction, lust, and passion forever. So let's say a few months have passed and your lust hasn't bitten the dust. How can you tell if yours is the kind of romantic love that's going to last? Well, luckily, social science research has pinpointed the factors associated with long-term love. And just as an aside, I should mention to you that most happy long-term couples describe being friends first, last, and always. Now, what researchers also know is that in addition to enduring passion, homogamy or similarity plays a key role in long-term love. What I'm talking about is happy couples are those who are the most similar in terms of tastes, values, and interests. Yes, opposites may attract, we all know that saying, but they also end up fighting about every topic, large and small, which doesn't foster long-term lasting love. So let's say a couple feels both passion and has cleared the homogamy hurdle. What happens next? Well, they're likely going to want to form a long-term committed bond, which consists of an enduring concern for the other's welfare, a sense of mutual defense, I got your back and you got mine, a genuine and ongoing selfless wish to please the other, combined with a true sense of intimacy. So at this point, I want to correct a common misconception because people think of love as a feeling, and I say love is an action. In order for love to survive and thrive, you have to actively appreciate the goodness in each other each and every day of your lives. But that's easier said than done, because no matter how similar two people are, conflict inevitably erupts in all intimate relationships, and it's how you handle your conflicts and the negative feelings that go with it that will determine whether your love makes old bones or sadly ends up in the boneyard. So love is an active process of working daily to appreciate each other's goodness and properly handling the negative feelings that inevitably arise in your relationship. And love patiently nudges you to redouble your efforts to listen, to understand, and to respond well to your partner. But ultimately, I view love as a spiritual wake-up call. It's a reminder to live each day as though it's your last, sharing a heart that's generous and wide open. Now, some of us learn this lesson when we survive a life-threatening disease or accident, or when we lose a beloved to an accident or an illness. These shake-ups are life's wake-up calls, reminding us all how short our ride on earth is, and that we better get busy loving and loving well. But unfortunately, we all know when the dust of the disaster settles, it's easy to forget the lesson. Now, luckily, life provides us another way to learn the lesson. Love. Love is life's only pleasant wake-up call, a sweet reminder of our true purpose on earth. But it is still so very easy to forget the lessons of love, because when the bills, the burdens, and the baby bottles clutter our lives, it's easy to become lazy and complacent and inactive. So in the end, love has to always triumph. And as humans, we have to eternally strive to keep overcoming and surpassing the hurdles that life throws in the path of love. And each day we have to work to keep love alive in our hearts, treating the gift of each day as yet another chance to perfect our ability to love more perfectly. So what can you do to actively appreciate the goodness in your beloved this Valentine's Day and beyond? Well, ladies, first, remember to give your guy 2 A's each day. And by A's, I'm referring to what I have named the relationship essential nutrients. Now, for men, the nutrients are different than for women. Men need the 2 A's, which are admiration and appreciation. Now, think about it. The male gender role revolves around action, performing, and producing. So when a man loves a woman, he makes it his business to provide for and protect her and their offspring. And when a woman admires and appreciates her guy's efforts, she's recognizing her man where his soul lives and breathes. Now, I know a lot of women resist this idea, and they say to me, oh, it's his job to work. Why should I praise him for doing what he's supposed to do? Now, let's face it, all humans need praise. A baby is supposed to walk, right? But how do we teach that baby to do so? With smiles and praises and encouragement. And grown-ups are no different. We need praise even for doing the things we're supposed to do. And recognition only encourages your guy to keep up the good work. So here's a little tip. The more you give, the more you receive. And if you want more romance, try giving him more sex. Try having sex every other night, night after night, until he gets a callus on his you-know-what, and he actually begs you to stop. But seriously, you could try it as a little experiment, because in reality, the more his little head feels fed, the more he'll want to meet your needs outside the bed. Now, guys, for you, it's listen up for batters up. Ask any woman, and she'll tell you that your biggest erogenous zone is located between your ears. So guys, if you want more batters up, listen up. When you take the time to truly listen with the ears of your heart, you're giving her your the greatest aphrodisiac of all. And you're feeding your woman the 2 most needed relationship essential nutrients that she needs for love to survive and thrive. And I call her 2 nutrients the 2 S's, safety and security. Women have a built-in biologically programmed need to feel safe and protected by their partners. And I know guys often think, I bring home the bacon. What more do I need to do to prove I'm devoted and here for the long haul? Well, what most guys don't know is that women think you have to go out and earn the bread. That doesn't guarantee that you'll stick around. But when you make the effort to listen to her, that says on a deep emotional level, this man truly loves me. Your listening makes her feel safe and secure with you at the deepest core. Okay? So guys, give her more listening and give her more romance. If you want more sex, give her more romance. Be more like Clark Gable. Romance her every day in every way. Use every single idea that you can come up with to be as romantic and as good a listener as you can be, and she'll give you all the sex you could ever dream of. Because when a woman feels romanced, she's more willing to let you in her pants. All right. Also, here's my third ingredient in this recipe for romance, the 5-to-1 ratio. Research out of the Love Lab in Washington has proven that for a relationship to last beyond the 5-year mark, couples have to maintain that 5-to-1 ratio. That means for every 1 negative communication in a day, you've got to counterbalance it with 5 positive gestures, words, communications. Okay? Now, the 4th tip is give according to the platinum rule. The platinum rule means it's the opposite of the golden rule. Most couples go south because they live by the golden rule, and they do unto others what they would have them do unto you. And this is going to get you into trouble in your relationship, especially if your love languages are different. And I'll give you more on this in a little moment. But so let's say you need space when you're upset. You figure your partner does too, when in fact she wants your company. So the platinum rule says you do unto your partner as he or she would have you do unto him or her. So in the context of Valentine's Day, a very bad fail would be arranging a date, doing something that you like taking a girl who hates sports to a hockey game. You get the idea. So I'm no kidding. Guys make terrible mistakes by practicing the golden rule instead of the platinum rule on Valentine's Day and beyond. So if you can't think of at least 2 kinds of gifts or things to do that you know she would like, you're on your way to a major V-Day fail. Better start doing your research now and make sure you know the rule. Let me take a break, and I'll be right back in a moment on Ask Dr. Love.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. AskDrLove.com is the web's premier relationship advice site since 1996. Visit AskDrLove.com to search thousands of free relationship advice articles on any relationship issue you may have. Or you can submit a question to her free advice column. However, if you're listening live, why not call in? Don't be shy. Dr. Turndorf wants to help you, and this is a unique chance to get a personal answer from one of today's most respected experts. So, if you have a question for her, please call in now at 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. Now back to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
I was right in the middle of my 5-step recipe for romance before the break, and now I'm coming back with the 5th ingredient, which is speak your partner's love language. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So if you want to make sure your love lasts, make sure you know what your partner's love language is, and then you'll honor the 4th ingredient, which is to give according to the platinum rule. So you will love your partner according to the language that speaks to his or her heart. Okay, now this is the bottom line, and I always beat this drum for you guys. If you want to make sure your love lasts, you've got to learn how to properly handle your conflicts using my proven method, which I outline fully in Till Death Do Us Part, because unresolved conflict and the anger that goes with it is the number one killer of love. So if you want lasting romantic love, you've got to learn how to hang up the boxing glove. All right, so let me just give you, because we're in my little quickie now, so I'm going to give you a bunch of little quickies. I want to give you a daily romantic checklist. Think about this. Keep it in the back of your mind or in your back pocket, because this will help you a lot. Every day, compliment your partner. Spend 20 minutes of uninterrupted time together. Check in with each other during the day. Perform one small and unexpected gesture. Say I love you at least 3 times. I like 5, but thank your partner for something. Look for romantic concepts in the newspaper and take an extra minute when kissing goodbye. Now, here's a weekly romantic checklist. Bring home a small, unexpected gift or present. That's especially great if your partner's love language is gift-giving. Share some form of physical intimacy. Share an entire afternoon or evening together. Share 2 insights you gained this week. Write at least one little love note. Mail something to your partner. Make love. Plan something special for the upcoming weekend. And here's a monthly romantic checklist for you to keep in your mind. Plan a romantic surprise for this month. Restock your stash of greeting cards. Go out to dinner once or twice. Rent at least 2 romantic movies. Make love several times. Make plans for a 3-day romantic weekend sometime in the next 3 months. Plan one romantic event with a seasonal theme. And here's a yearly romantic checklist for you. Long-range plans. Make a New Year's resolution to be more creative in the romance department. Make plans for your next anniversary, the following one. Think of an unusual way to celebrate your partner's birthday. Review your plans for your next vacation together. Create a special romance category in your household budget. Make plans for Valentine's Day well in advance. You know what I did with my husband, which was really, really fun? I created a little cookie jar, and I put little fortune cookies on which I wrote the things that I thought would be fun and romantic, and he could just pull them from the jar in case he was lacking in inspiration. It was fun. All right. So if you really want to have more romance, kill your television. And remember, an unasked for gift is most appreciated. The surprise gift is most cherished. Now here, I have some fun Valentine's Day stats for you. I thought you might like to hear this. This is wild. What do you think the annual Valentine's Day spending is? $13.9 billion. Is that crazy? The number of Valentine's Day cards exchanged. I almost knocked myself out there. I inhaled and choked on my own saliva. The number of Valentine's Day cards exchanged annually, 180 billion. The average number of roses produced for Valentine's Day, 196 million. The percentage of Valentine's Day cards bought by women, 85%. Dudes, Percentage of flowers bought by men, 73%. Percentage of women who send themselves flowers on Valentine's Day, 14%. The amount the average consumer spends on Valentine's Day, $116.21. What the heck can you get for that? Percentage of consumers who celebrate Valentine's Day, 61.8%. The percentage of women who say they'd end their relationship if they didn't get something on Valentine's Day, 53%. And the average number of children conceived on Valentine's Day, 11,000. Can you imagine? Now, what do you think the most often what is the gifts that are most often given on Valentine's Day? What do you think the highest one is? If you guessed candy, you're right. It's 47.5%. And what do you think's next down the list? If you guessed flowers, you're right again, 34.3%. And wait a minute, I was wrong. Cards, 52.1%. They are the most commonly given gift. Jewelry, 17.3. Dining, eating out, 34.6. Clothing, 14.4. Yeah, and how much of that clothing is the sexy lingerie that the guys buy for the girls, but it's really a gift for the guys? You know what I mean. Gift cards, 12.6. Other gifts, 11.2. So here's something interesting. Valentine-related business statistics. Number of locations in the world producing, I think it might be more the U.S., producing chocolate and cocoa, 1,233. And the number of people employed by these establishments, 38,794. The revenue of domestically cut flowers, $403 million. All right, that's all the quickies I've got for you today. Take a breath, catch your breath. I'll be back in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. If you like what you're hearing, you can learn about Dr. Turndorf's techniques for turning conflict into connection and healing in her critically acclaimed, groundbreaking book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, a step-by-step guide for resolving relationship conflict. Find out more about this book and read a free excerpt by visiting AskDrLove.com. This is Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. And if you have a question for her, please call in now at 888-463-6748. This show is for you, the listeners, so please give her a call now. You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and this is my Valentine's Day show with you, for us. So, I didn't give you some tweets. I want to give you some tweets on this topic to help you have a fun way of remembering some of the principles that I raised and shared with you. So here's one. Don't pine away this Valentine's Day. Don't throw in the glove. There is hope for lasting love. The human heart needs a daily jump start. And let's have more adoring and less snoring this Valentine's Day. And when it comes to love, the human heart doesn't beat on its own. Without daily feeding, it turns to stone. Now, here's another. It's an ongoing job to make your beloved's heart continue to throb. And another. Without daily affection, the heart is going to make a permanent defection. And I know what a job it is to make the daily effort to say something positive. And here's something for your singles. To give unrequited love a shove, dare to admit you've fallen in love. And if you want her to know you desire her, you can't remain a secret admirer. And guys, it takes more than Cupid's bow and quiver to make your true love quiver. And to be a champion heartthrob, you gotta make loving her your primary job. Now here's an X-rated one. Give her two lips, and you'll see more of her two lips. To fire her desire, remind her that your love will never tire. Without a regular dose of romance, you ain't gonna get in her pants. And when a woman feels romance, she's more willing to drop her pants. And the recipe for romance, keep it in your pants until she pants. And here's a Valentine's Day tip. If it's love points you want to rack, stop staring at her rack. And if you want her to be yours, don't be so quick to drop your drawers. And here's another rack one. I guess I was in a boob mood. Staring at her rack isn't a gal's preferred mode of attack. And the best form of foreplay is reminding her that your love is here to stay. And for her to want to hit the hay, your devotion's got to last beyond V-Day. And gals, the more his little head feels fed, the more he'll want to meet your needs outside the bed. And if you want to hear him say, be my Valentine, try not to whine. And when you whine at him, he won't want to wine and dine you. And the more... No, here's one. When you scold, his heart turns cold. And if you want him to stay smitten, his head must not be regularly bitten, off that is. And if you want him to be more sentimental, let him know that he's not incidental. Appreciate him for what he does for you, and his love will come right back at you. And last but not least, keep nagging, whining, and complaining, and your love life will soon start waning. Alrighty. So let me give you my little virtual box of chocolates. A bunch of little tasty questions, not long, but short and sweet. Here's the first one. I'm confused with myself. I'm 20 years old, and I've had sex with a couple of guys, and for some reason, I don't know, I just always feel a connection to them when we're intimate and afterwards, and I always have the tendency to say, I love you, even if it's like a one-night stand. But a guy I was serious about, we dated for about 6 months, and the first time we had sex, I told him that I loved him, and he got pushed away and called me clingy. But I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like if we have intercourse and I want to wake up to that person and be with them and not have them leaving me. And if they leave me, I instantly beat myself up and I feel dirty and I start to get really bad anxiety and I get depressed. And I take relationships really serious, so maybe that could be the problem. I don't know why I feel this way. Signed, sincerely, clingy. Okay. Now, I do feel your pain. I do, Miss Clingy, and I want to help set you free from your agony. But to do this, I need to help you understand the way in which you are the author of your misery. So let me explain what I mean. You said you take relationships seriously, but one wouldn't know that based on your actions. On the contrary, your actions say, I could care less about a relationship. I just want to get laid. Now, if you're hoping, as many women do, to turn a one-night stand into a long-standing relationship, know that this ain't going to happen. This is because men don't want relationships with women who are easy to bag. These kinds of women are literally easy come, easy go. Even though a man is quite capable of screwing anything with an orifice, that doesn't mean he'll want to form a relationship with a woman he doesn't see as the whole package. And for a man, the whole package needs to feel like a top drawer item. This means that a woman needs to be seen as the cream of the crop in order for a man to want to have a relationship with her. And there's a reason for this. Men are biologically programmed to choose only the most desirable women to ensure healthy offspring. And the way men identify the most desirable women is by watching how a woman behaves and treats herself. And desirable women are discerning and selective, and they don't give their bodies or hearts away easily. The woman who gives it up easily shows that she's not selective, and then she's not desirable. And the men you're sleeping with don't respect you, and they certainly don't want a relationship with you. And the way you jump into bed is both a symptom of your feeling undesirable, and sadly your behavior also fuels the continuance of that feeling. Now, if you were just able to have sex, no strings attached, that would be one thing. But I see you want to have a relationship, and I see you secretly dream of having one with these guys. So you cannot continue in the path that you're continuing, because every time you hunger for a relationship and you give yourself just a casual screw, you open your heart to them, you tell them you love them. This is just you pretending that you're having a real relationship, and they read you, of course, as desperate and clingy because you're trying to milk these encounters for more than they're worth, which is just a screw with no strings attached. So this, of course, makes you feel depressed. So you're degrading yourself, and you need to stop. You need to close the book, no more casual sex. And what I want you to do is read my book, Make Up, Don't Break Up. There's an entire chapter in there on how to raise your personal net worth. Okay, and when you raise your net worth, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. You'll no longer be a love beggar, and you're not going to feel like you need to give up the goods in order to get a guy to like you. You will see that, in fact, it works the other way around. And when you love yourself, you're not going to be casual with your body anymore. You're going to treat your body as a treasured temple that is the home of your precious self and your soul. And you're going to view the sharing of yourself, body and soul, as a gift to be cherished by a very special man who's earned your love. So this Valentine's Day, this is my present for you. I want you to begin a love affair with yourself. Wake up with yourself each morning and tell yourself, I love you. Then walk the walk each day by treating yourself with love throughout the day, and surround yourself with those who are warm and supportive and caring. And once you're healed, you'll soon find that men are banging down your door, not to bang you and leave you, but to love you and stay with you for all the mornings of your life. So this is my Valentine's Day gift to you. Love and heal yourself, and then a loving relationship is going to come. This is a very, very important question that this woman asked me, and so many women fall into this error of an imaginary relationship where they think that if they give up the goods, the sexual goods, that they're going to be in an instant intimacy. And this woman is an extreme example of this, where she puts herself in an imaginary relationship, tells the guy she loves him, wants him to be there in the morning, and as you can see, every time the guy leaves, she feels hurt, degraded, depressed, anxious, because she is putting herself in a very precarious situation. Because this is, as I said, a symptom of low self-esteem. Women all over the world do this. And so I've given you the plan for how to get out of it. Raise your self-esteem, and everything will solve. Now, here's another question. This one is she genuinely interested in me? Dear Dr. Love, I'm writing this letter to seek your valuable advice. There's a woman working in the same building as me, but in a different office. And when she joined her office, she was introduced to me by the HR, who is common to both of us. It's been almost 2 years that I've known this woman. We meet infrequently, and at times we interact through email. I find her attractive, but never got a chance to express my feelings. However, in the last week, I was somehow having a very strong desire of meeting her, and I couldn't stop myself from passing by her office hallway on some pretext. Deep down, I had a strong urge to meet her. As luck would have it, I met her in the hallway. She smiled and exclaimed with a big hi and asked me where I was going. I said I was going to the cafe. She then gently patted my arm and said she'd been thinking of me of late and wanted to get in touch with me. She asked me if I have time for a coffee together, to which I gladly agreed. We then sat over in the cafe for about an hour and a half, and we told each other how we'd been all these days. The talk was going fine and pretty smooth. During the talk, she made a reference of herself, that she's 29 and her parents are persuading her to marry. She then told me that she doesn't have a boyfriend as yet, and she indirectly asked me my career plans and what I have thought about my life and marriage. The talk was then interrupted as she got an urgent call back from her office and had to leave. She told me she would be happy to join me when I am around next time in the cafe, and that I should let her know when I'm around. Based on what I've told you in my story, is she interested and attracted in me and thinking of me as a potential life partner? I'm 40, and I'm wondering if this age gap is healthy for a marital life, and I'm also bald, and I'm pretty much sure she does not know my age. And do you think she is desperate to get in a relationship with me? I mean, why would a woman be interested in a bald guy who looks elder to her? We get along well, and we're on the same mental level and feel compatible talking to each other. But even though I am 40, I'm not desperate for a relationship, and I would not like to enter into a relationship with a desperate woman. Please advise. Okay, so listen, I'm thinking, how desperate can this woman be? Because she met you 2 years ago, and she certainly hasn't chased you down like a starved predator hunting for its next meal. All right, I get that her biological clock is ticking. She's 29, and her parents are pressuring her to marry, and she definitely was interviewing you as a possible option. But asking you if you've thought about marriage says that she's clearly interested in you as a prospect. Now, as for the age difference, women often choose older men because older men are more established and they can provide a sense of security and protection that younger men may not be able to offer. Now, as for your being bald, studies show that when it comes to choosing a life partner, most women don't put a man's looks on top of their list of desirable attributes. More desirable is a man who gives a woman that sense of safety and security, those two S's, remember? And a woman needs to feel that her guy is devoted to her and that he's going to stick around to protect her and her offspring. So a bald head has no bearing on this question. If anything, a guy who isn't an Adonis actually can feel safer to a woman. Okay, now what's most important to me is why you're so focused on not wanting a desperate woman. And your concern actually raises red flags for me, because I'm assuming that the word desperate resonates with your formative experiences. So I'm thinking you might have been raised by a desperate, needy, or clinging mother. Did you feel sucked dry by a dependent parent? Now, I notice you're 40 and you're still not married, and I have to wonder if your dread of drawing a needy woman is what's kept you single so this long. So these questions need to be answered, because if you don't understand this part of yourself, it's going to bite you in the butt. And the very things that we try to resist, deny, or avoid end up haunting us in the end. So if you need help connecting the dots to identify any old scars lurking from your childhood, by all means use my book, Till Death Do Us Part, unless I kill you first, because it's going to help you recognize your own old scars and show you how to heal them. The less baggage you're carrying, the better marriage and relationship you're going to be able to establish. So I'm not worried about this girl. I'm worried about you and uncovering why you're so concerned about whether someone's desperate and whether the person's going to be on you in desperation. So figure that out, and then you'll be able to move forward with this woman. Alrighty, let me just take a brief break, and I'll be back in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. If you've recently been through a breakup and are looking for a second chance, wondering how you can reconcile with your ex, or if it's even possible after all you've been through, Dr. Turndorf's latest book, Make Up, Don't Break Up, presents her 5-step plan for reconciling with your ex. This plan was developed out of years of research, working with thousands of couples at her Center for Emotional Communication. This is a proven no-hype and no-nonsense method that gets right to the root of the problem to guide you to the right path towards reigniting a lasting relationship. For more about Make Up, Don't Break Up, visit AskDrLove.com. You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I'm giving you a bunch of little tasty tidbits from my virtual chocolate box. And today, the next question is, too much sex? This one's really short, but not exactly sweet. Here it is. Does having sex every day make it harder for a woman to orgasm every day through overstimulation? As my girlfriend struggles to reach orgasm after she has had one the day before. Okay, this is a great question. I get asked this question a lot. Now, unlike men who do have a refractory period, and this is the time it takes to reload before they're ready to fire again, it's assumed that women do not experience a refractory period. And this is why women can experience an additional orgasm or multiple orgasms soon after the first. But on the other hand, some sources say that women may also experience a period after orgasm in which further sexual stimulation does not produce excitement. And there are many women who experience clitoral hypersensitivity after orgasm, which effectively creates a refractory period. The point is that while these women may be capable of more orgasms, the pain involved in getting off again makes them put the project off. I'm thinking that there's actually another cause for your girlfriend's difficulties. Now, you're not going to believe where I'm going with this. It has to do with environmental pollutions, because there's a link between elevated estrogen levels and diminished desire. Now, progesterone naturally decreases production during perimenopause. So this can result in something called estrogen dominance, which will cause low libido in women. But now even young women are experiencing estrogen dominance and lowered sex drive and lowered performance as a result of the pollutants in the environment, because these xenoestrogens, that is the pollutants, the petroleum distillates and so on that are in the air, the food and the water, they release estrogen-like compounds that mess with both men and women's sex drives and performance. So if you want to know more about this, listen to my radio show, Are Your Hormones Making You Moan? But Not in a Good Way. And I give a full discussion of what she can do to lower her exposure to xenoestrogens and flush out any excess estrogen that's in her body. And to get started, she should start eating cruciferous vegetables like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and arugula. And she should also try the supplement DIM. It's a broccoli derivative that assists in estrogen metabolism, and it helps flush out toxic forms of estrogen. So I'm really confident that when her estrogen levels drop, her drive and her orgasms will be on the rise. So let me know how this goes for you. All righty. Now, I was just thinking, I can't help but think about all these questions being like little virtual boxes of chocolate. And I was just remembering Valentine's Day with my husband. And I had such a lovely, lovely Valentine's Day. One year we went to Puerto Vallarta, and it was the most magical thing. We went to a hotel, and they took a table and they stuck it out on the sand right under the moon. The waves were crashing. It was one of the most magical Valentine's Day. When you take your beloved to a different place, you do something out of the ordinary, it actually tags it in your brain, in your memory bank. And it's something that is so vivid in my memory. So I want you to think about that for Valentine's Day. So now here's another question, and it's called, What Do I Do? Hi, Dr. Love. I like this girl a lot. We are good friends, and I want to be more than friends with her. And I asked her out a lot of times, but she says she doesn't want to go out. I do everything for her because I like her a lot, but I don't know. She's really, really confusing me. Oh, you know what? I don't want to do this question. I decided I just want to do another one. I'm sorry. Dr. Love is kind of like lovesick, so she's not thinking straight. I want to do the question, doesn't think much of me. This one, I really like this girl, and I play tennis a lot, and she does too, and occasionally I see her at the tennis club, and I really want to get closer to her, but I do not see her often enough. How do I get her to notice me a bit more and think more of me? Thanks. Now, you're saying contradictory things, because on the one hand you said you want to get closer to her and that you don't see her often enough, but on the other hand you did say that you see her at the tennis club. So listen up here, dude. The game of love is like tennis. You can't win the game if you don't put the ball in play. And sitting on the sidelines like a spectator waiting for her to notice you and think of you isn't going to get you in the game. So the next time you're at the club, you gotta make your move. Don't take your marbles and go home. You got to take hold of your balls and use them. Be the pursuer you were born to be. Go up to her and talk to her. Tell her something positive that you like about her. Tell her that you've noticed her. Tell her you want to know her more. And I promise if you serve her some admiration, she'll notice you and she'll think of you. So in honor of Valentine's Day, go for it, Romeo, because you can't win at the game of love if you don't get in the game. All right. Now, let me give you a reading between the sheets question. This one is really, really complicated. And actually, I don't think I've ever answered a question like this before. So hang in there, because I think this is going to help a lot of people. This one's called Crazy Sex Has Got the Best of Me. Dr. Turndorf, I'm in a serious pickle. I'm a 40-year-old man who has spent the last 10 years interested in finding the best-looking women to have the dirtiest and craziest sex with. I tend to fall completely in love with these women, losing myself to the extreme lust and excitement of pushing the boundaries of normal sex into what can only be described as S&M or fetishism. And I have cheated and lied, and I am simply not satisfied with vanilla sex or lovemaking. And I've been with several hundred women and used porn constantly, which has affected my ability to work and settle down into family life. I fell for a woman who is recently divorced and was known to be sleeping around with several men. As much as I tried to avoid her, she kept chasing after me, offering me anything and everything I wanted for several months until I finally found myself attracted to her beauty and charms. The chemistry was amazing, and I was caught. I feel like I love this woman like no other before her. Our sex life was more than intense, but also could be quite rough. She allowed me to do unspeakable things to her often, and on several occasions videotape it. When I could not be with her, she would video herself solo doing these things to herself and would send them to me, risking her job and thus her lifestyle and family. I feel we are both traumatized by this relationship. We broke up many times over trust issues, unfulfilled expectations, and worse. And now that I'm single again, I need help to make sure I do not follow the same path as I did with her. I'd like to feel like I could have a regular relationship based on honesty and respect for each other and not have to have sex that is rough or crazy. I'm currently dating 4 women as friends, but they all kiss me a lot and have expressed interest in intimacy in just under a couple of weeks. I'm told I'm very attractive. I don't see that. And this happens to me often, and I'm trying to move slow and have been forthright in telling them that I'm not interested in sex so fast and I just want to make friends first and see where it all goes, but I also still have a bit for the ex. And I'm now trying for women I once thought were out of my league because I want to start out on a different path than my usual MO, and maybe they won't be so grabby. And this is also the urge. It won't be long before another crazy hot chick appears to steal my heart and sex again. And I know this is wrong to feel like this, so what should I do? I'm trapped. And you sign this distorted. Okay, so you are indeed in a pickle, and your pickle has gotten you into a barrel of trouble. Now, I completely respect and admire your resolution to resolve your problem so that you can settle into an intimate relationship that includes everyday, garden variety, vanilla sex. So here's my Valentine's Day gift to you. So I'm going to lay out a plan for you so that you can get some true success under your belt, if you're going to pardon the pun. Now, the first thing we need to acknowledge is that you have a sexual impulse disorder. And what you're attempting to do here is kick your sex addiction cold turkey. And despite your best intentions, you can't white-knuckle your way through this because it's only going to be a matter of time before you're just not going to be able to swallow your vanilla-flavored medicine. So let's step back, and I want to help you understand what's causing your problem. Paraphilias, that's the technical name for your problem. These are disorders characterized by persistent, deviant sexual arousal. Think exhibitionism, fetishism, and pedophilia. Now, closely related to the paraphilias are the paraphilia-related disorders. They call them PRDs for short. And those suffering from the PRDs are, in our common vernacular, sex addicts. They're not breaking the law, but they're driven by libido so excessive that they're literally being screwed by their own libidos. Now, if you think about it, paraphilias and the PRDs are to men what eating disorders are to women. And what's amazing is that the sex distribution of paraphilias and related disorders is about 95% male, 5% female, whereas the sex distribution for eating disorders is the opposite. But both disorders involve difficulty experiencing satiation, as well as a general dysregulation of appetite control. So, you know, what's amazing is there was a study in Science in 1969, and what they did was this scientist shot up some rats with this compound that lowers serotonin in both blood and brain. And within minutes, when the serotonin got low, what happened to the rats? They became sexually aroused. They mounted each other compulsively. But then conversely, when they fed the rats a serotonin-laced snack, raising their serotonin levels, almost all sexual appetite disappeared. So we used to think that sexual deviance came from testosterone abnormalities, but now we think it's serotonin abnormalities. Okay, so there's a lot of research indicating that brain chemistry imbalances are behind your problem. So this explains why competent, intelligent, goal-directed people are sidetracked by drugs and deviant sex. So what do you do? What do you do to solve the problem? So you're going to need to get into a treatment program. You're not going to be able to do it yourself. Many programs suggest a 60 to 90-day period of self-imposed sexual abstinence because this enables you to go along with the treatment team and understand the cues and the circumstances that trigger your compulsive behavior. Now, you're going to want to talk about the logistical concerns of separating you from harmful sexual behavior in the same way that drug addicts need to be separated from drugs. You might even need an inpatient or residential treatment program for several weeks. You're also going to be talking about the guilt, the shame, and the depression associated with this illness. Okay? And now when I work with patients with this kind of problem, I help them focus on what feelings and memories their sexual acting out helps them avoid or push down. Because as you develop this awareness, you're going to sit on your sexual urges and not act on them, and you're going to talk and work through the struggle. Now, 12-step programs are very helpful. Interpersonal therapy, group therapy, very helpful. Now, also, just as a last point, many men use drugs like Prozac or other SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They alter serotonin transmission in the brain, and this can be helpful because, as I said, the animal studies show a correlation between raised or altered serotonin. Well, it's when the serotonin goes down that the sexual appetite goes crazy. But then when you raise or alter your serotonin, you get diminished sexual appetite. And for those with sexual addictions, actually blunting the drive with these SSRIs can convert the sex drive to more normal. So I want to hear how you do. Good luck to you. It's a very tough problem, and I really respect and admire that you wrote and asked me about it. So I also want to say happy Valentine's Day to my dear engineer Dave, and he made sure that I brought you all this Valentine's Day show because he reminded me that in Seattle I have to do a show before Valentine's Day because next week it would have been after Valentine's Day. So I want to say happy Valentine's Day to all my listeners in Seattle and all my listeners worldwide. Remember to do my 5-step recipe for romance, and your Valentine's Day is going to be romantic, and so will the rest of the year. So that's all I have for you this week, and I'm going to be thinking about you with lots of love. And have a wonderful week. Until next time, this is Dr. Jamie Turndorf for Ask Dr. Love Radio.